Welcome back to HOA anger. The vendor refused to play along this time. Do not touch my paperwork. Donna Pierce stood in my driveway at 8 in the morning, already shouting. She demanded I open my garage and yelled that refusing meant I was guilty. I work as a security technician in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I had just started a new job 3 weeks ago. I was on probation, and I could not afford to miss work for HOA hearings and disruptions. Donna served as board vice president for the Maple Ridge Community Association, and she treated every complaint like a federal investigation. She shoved her clipboard forward. A package photo shows a distinctive porch mat, and Karen claims it is mine. The image came from a doorbell camera 2 streets over. A small box of phone accessories had been marked delivered yesterday afternoon, but the box was gone. The homeowner blamed me because the mat pattern looked similar to one I used to have. I have a process, and you will follow it, Donna said, her voice sharp and rehearsed. I told her I did not steal anything, and I offered to show her my own doorbell footage. She cut me off. She claimed I missed a deadline, but the notice date was wrong. She said I had 48 hours to respond to a theft complaint, but the form she waived showed a date from tomorrow. I pointed at the date. She ignored me. She said the deadline was based on when she decided to issue the notice, not when it was printed. I decide what evidence is allowed, she snapped. That line stuck with me. She repeated it twice more before I could even respond. I asked her what evidence she wanted. She said she wanted access to my garage, my car, and my phone. I refused. She pulled out a pen and made a note on her clipboard. She said refusal to cooperate would be treated as an admission of guilt. She said the HOA would bill me for the theft investigation, and she would recommend my access to the clubhouse and mailroom be suspended immediately. I felt my chest tighten. I needed my mail access because my new job required me to receive security badge shipments there. I could not let her lock me out. I told her I would send her my doorbell footage by noon. She smiled, cold and tight. She said that was a start, but it would not be enough. She turned and walked back to her car. Before she left, she slammed a red stamp on a blank sheet of paper and held it up like it was a court order. I went inside and pulled the footage from my doorbell camera. The timestamp showed I was at work when the package disappeared. I exported the clip, attached it to an email, and sent it to Donna by 11. I copied the management company and the HOA president. I thought that would end it. It did not. By 2 in the afternoon, I received a response. Donna said the timestamp could have been tampered with. She said I worked in security, so I had the skills to fake metadata. She said she was escalating the matter to a formal hearing, and that I would be billed $300 for investigative costs. She also said she had contacted a tow company and instructed them to prepare to impound my car if I did not cooperate further. That was when I realized this was not about the package. This was about control. Donna had been running enforcement in Maple Ridge for 2 years, and she had a reputation. She targeted renters, new owners, and anyone who pushed back. The neighborhood had a strict rental cap, and there was a lot of resentment. Donna fed on it. She used the rules to settle scores and build her own little power base. I called my neighbor, Marcus Chen. He ran the community watch group and had been dealing with Donna for months. He told me she had been accused of losing mail before, but nothing stuck. He said other residents suspected she was taking things, but no one had proof. He said if I wanted to fight this, I needed to move fast. Marcus was leaving town that night for a work trip, and I needed his statement first. We met at the mailbox cluster at 4. Marcus handed me a folder. Inside were printouts of complaint forms from the HOA portal. He had been tracking them for weeks. Every form had the same formatting quirks, the same spacing errors, the same template artifacts. He said he suspected they were all being generated from one device, but he had not been able to prove it. He said if I could get access to the portal admin panel, I could pull the metadata. I asked him how I was supposed to do that. He said Donna kept a laptop in the clubhouse office during board meetings. He said if I could get in there during a meeting, I might be able to grab screenshots. I told him that sounded risky. He shrugged. He said the alternative was letting Donna frame me and ruin my job. He said she had done it to 2 other people in the past year, and both had moved out. I went home and started looking through my own records. I pulled every email, every notice, every receipt I had from the HOA. I found 3 things that did not match. First, the theft complaint form Donna gave me had a creation date embedded in the file properties that was 4 days before the package even shipped. Second, the photo she claimed showed my porch mat was taken at an angle that did not match my doorbell camera's position. Third, the notice she said I missed had a printed date that was in the future. I made copies of everything. I saved the files to a cloud drive. I printed hard copies and put them in a binder. Then I waited. The next board meeting was scheduled for Thursday night at 7. I had 2 days to prepare. On Wednesday morning, I got another email from Donna. She said the tow company had been authorized to impound my car if I parked in any HOA-controlled lot after Friday. She said this was a precautionary measure to prevent me from fleeing with stolen property. I called the management company. The receptionist, a calm woman named Linda, told me she had no record of any tow authorization. She said Donna had called the tow yard directly and claimed she had board approval. Linda said that was not how it worked, and she would follow up. I felt a tiny bit of relief. But it did not last. That afternoon, Donna showed up at my door again. This time, she had a tow driver with her. The driver was rude and refused to listen until I showed him the email from Linda. He looked at it, looked at Donna, and shook his head. He said he was not getting in the middle of this and left. Donna turned on me. She said I was interfering with HOA business. She said she would add obstruction charges to the complaint. She pulled out her phone and started taking photos of my car, my porch, my door. She said she was documenting everything. Then she pointed at my doorbell camera and claimed it was proof I had tampered with footage. She said the angle was wrong, and that meant I had moved it to hide something. I told her the camera had been in the same spot since I installed it 6 months ago. She ignored me. She walked up to the lens and waved at it. She said this was being recorded, and she wanted it on the record that I was uncooperative. Then she left. I went back inside and checked the footage. She had stood directly in front of the camera for almost a minute, blocking the view of the street. It was deliberate. She wanted to make it look like I was hiding something. I saved the clip. That night, I got a text from Marcus. He said he had talked to Linda at the management office, and she was willing to help. He said Linda had been dealing with Donna's complaints for months, and she was fed up. He said if I could bring evidence to the office on Friday morning, Linda would make sure it got to the board president before the meeting. I spent Thursday night organizing everything. I put the complaint forms, the email printouts, the doorbell footage, and the metadata screenshots into a single evidence binder. I added a timeline. I labeled every page. I made sure everything was clear and defensible. Then I tried to sleep. I did not sleep much. Friday morning, I drove to the management office. It was in a small strip mall 2 miles from the neighborhood. Linda was at the front desk when I walked in. I handed her the binder. She flipped through it, her face calm and professional. She said she would scan it and forward it to the board president immediately. She said Donna had been pressuring her to ignore resident complaints for weeks, and she was tired of it. Linda said Donna had a habit of calling vendors directly and skipping the approval process. She said the tow company had complained twice about Donna demanding impounds without proper authorization. She said the board president was already looking into it, but he needed more evidence. I asked her if there was anything else I should know. She said Donna kept a storage closet in the clubhouse, and it was supposed to be for HOA supplies only. She said other board members had noticed items going missing, but no one had checked the closet yet. I asked if I could get access to the closet. Linda said she could not authorize that, but she could mention it to the board president. She said if he decided to inspect it, he might find something useful. I thanked her and left. I had 4 hours before the board meeting. I went home and waited. At 6, I got a call from Marcus. He said the board president, a retired engineer named Greg Lawson, had just opened the storage closet. He said Greg found a plastic tote filled with open packages, petty cash envelopes, and clubhouse supplies that were supposed to be in the main office. He said Greg had called an emergency meeting and told Donna to show up early. I asked Marcus if I should go. He said yes. He said this was my chance to clear my name in front of everyone. I arrived at the clubhouse at 6:40. The parking lot was full. Other homeowners had heard about the confrontation and showed up to watch. I walked into the meeting room. Greg stood at the front table. Donna sat in a chair near the door, her face pale and tight. The plastic tote sat on the table in front of Greg, open and full. If you are enjoying this HOA chaos, hit that like button and subscribe for more wild neighborhood revenge stories. Greg started the meeting. He said he had received evidence that morning suggesting misconduct by a board member. He said he had inspected the storage closet and found items that did not belong there. He said he was opening the floor for questions. Donna stood up immediately. She said the tote was for donations, and someone must have put the packages there by mistake. Greg asked her why petty cash envelopes were in a donation bin. She said she was organizing them for the treasurer. I raised my hand. Greg nodded at me. I walked to the front and pulled out my tablet. I turned the screen toward the room. On it was a screenshot from the HOA portal showing the complaint forms Marcus had given me. I had highlighted the metadata creation dates. Every form had been uploaded from the same device. I had cross-referenced the device ID with the portal admin logs. The device was registered to Donna. The room went silent. Donna stared at me. She said the portal had been hacked. She said I was a security technician, so I must have done it. I pulled out my phone. I played the doorbell footage from Wednesday. It showed Donna standing in front of my camera, blocking the view, claiming I had tampered with it. Then I played a second clip. It showed the moment the package was delivered 2 streets over. The timestamp matched the time I was at work, 40 minutes away. Donna tried to grab the tablet. I pulled it back. Greg stepped between us. He told Donna to sit down. She refused. She said I was lying, and everyone was conspiring against her. She pulled out her clipboard and waved it. She said she had documentation proving I was guilty. Greg asked to see it. She refused. She said I decide what evidence is allowed, and she would not let me manipulate the process. Greg looked at her. He said that line sounded familiar. He asked if she had been using that phrase with other residents. Donna did not answer. One of the other board members, a woman named Carol, spoke up. She said Donna had used the exact same line on her last month when Carol questioned a parking enforcement notice. She said Donna had tried to fine her for a guest vehicle that was properly registered. Another resident stood up. He said Donna had accused him of stealing mail 3 weeks ago. He said he had shown her his Amazon account proving he ordered the package himself, and she still tried to fine him. He said she only dropped it when he threatened to file a complaint with the postal inspector. Greg raised his hand for quiet. He said the board would conduct a full investigation. He said Donna was suspended from all enforcement duties effective immediately. He said the tote contents would be inventoried and matched against missing item reports. He said any resident who had been fined or cited by Donna in the past 6 months could request a review. Donna screamed. She said this was illegal. She said the board did not have the authority to suspend her. She said she would sue. Greg calmly reminded her that the bylaws allowed for immediate suspension in cases of suspected misconduct. He said she could appeal at the next meeting, but until then, she was not allowed to act in any official capacity. Donna grabbed her clipboard and stormed toward the door. I stepped aside. She stopped in front of me. She said this was not over. She said I would regret crossing her. I did not respond. She left. The door slammed behind her. Greg asked me to stay after the meeting. The other residents filed out slowly, whispering. When the room was empty, Greg sat down across from me. He said he owed me an apology. He said he had suspected Donna was overstepping, but he did not realize how far it had gone. He said the board would reverse all citations against me immediately and refund any fees. He said the HOA would also issue a policy clarification that blocked Karen's favorite tactic, requiring all enforcement actions to go through the management office for approval before any vendor contact or fines were issued. I asked what would happen to Donna. Greg said the board would meet in executive session on Monday. He said based on the evidence, he expected Donna would lose her committee role immediately. He said if the inventory matched missing item reports, the board would file a police report. I left the clubhouse feeling like I could finally breathe. My phone buzzed. It was an email from Linda. She said the management company had completed a preliminary audit of the HOA portal. She said a portal export that shows the complaint forms were uploaded from one device had been forwarded to the board president and copied to the county. She said if I needed any additional documentation from my employer, she could provide a letter confirming the accusations against me were false and had been formally withdrawn. I forwarded the email to my manager at work. He replied 10 minutes later. He said he appreciated the update and that my probation review was still on track. He said as long as there were no further disruptions, my job was secure. Saturday morning I woke up to a knock on my door. It was Marcus. He said Greg had called an emergency board meeting that morning. He said the inventory was complete. 14 packages, $200 in petty cash, and a box of clubhouse supplies had been matched to missing item reports from the past 4 months. He said Greg had filed a police report and a deputy was at Donna's house taking a statement. I asked if Donna had been arrested. Marcus said not yet, but the deputy had taken the tote and several other items as evidence. He said Donna claimed everything was a misunderstanding and that other people had access to the closet. He said the deputy did not look convinced. On Monday, I got another email from Greg. He said the board had voted unanimously to remove Donna from all positions effective immediately. He said the board had also voted to ban her from holding any enforcement or committee role for 5 years. He said the HOA was pursuing restitution for the missing items and the investigative costs. He said if Donna did not pay within 30 days, the HOA would place a lien on her property. I forwarded the email to Marcus. He replied with a thumbs up and a short note. He said Linda had told him Donna tried to show up at the management office on Monday morning to file a countercomplaint. He said Linda told her she was no longer authorized to file complaints and asked her to leave. He said Donna refused. He said Linda called the property manager, who called the police. He said a deputy arrived and told Donna she needed to leave or she would be cited for trespassing. The security guard tells Karen to step back in front of everyone. Donna turned red. She tried to argue. The deputy repeated the instruction. She finally left, slamming the door so hard the glass rattled. That was the last time I saw her at the management office. Over the next 2 weeks, the missing package reports kept coming in. Residents who had been too afraid to complain before started filing statements. The total count reached 23 packages and over $400 in missing cash and supplies. The county opened a formal theft investigation. Greg sent out a neighborhood-wide email. He apologized for the enforcement issues and announced new policies. All citations would require management office review before being issued. All vendor authorizations would require written approval from at least 2 board members. All storage areas would be inventoried monthly. He also announced that Donna had resigned from the board entirely and would not be returning. I ran into Linda at the grocery store a few weeks later. She said Donna had tried to sell her house and move, but the HOA lien made it impossible to close until she paid restitution. She said Donna had hired an attorney, but the evidence was overwhelming. She said the attorney had advised Donna to settle and pay the restitution to avoid criminal charges. She said Donna was fighting it anyway. Linda also told me the board had elected a new vice president. It was Carol, the woman who had spoken up at the meeting. Linda said Carol was focused on transparency and accountability. She said the new board was reviewing every citation Donna had issued in the past 2 years. She said several residents were getting refunds. I got my refund check in the mail a month later. It covered the investigative fees and a formal apology letter from the board. The letter said the HOA had failed to provide adequate oversight and that new safeguards were in place. It said the board appreciated my patience and cooperation. It was signed by Greg and Carol. Marcus threw a small party at his place to celebrate. He invited everyone who had spoken up at the meeting. We grilled burgers and swapped stories. One guy said Donna had tried to fine him for parking his work van in his own driveway. Another woman said Donna had accused her of running an illegal business because she received a lot of packages. Everyone had a Donna story. Everyone was relieved she was gone. A few months later, I saw a for sale sign in front of Donna's house. Marcus texted me a photo. He said she had finally paid the restitution and settled with the county. He said she was moving to a neighborhood 3 towns over. He said good riddance. The new board worked out well. Carol and Greg ran things efficiently. They held monthly open forums where residents could ask questions. They posted meeting minutes online. They hired a part-time administrator to handle enforcement so no single board member could abuse the process. It felt like a real community again. I kept the evidence binder. I did not need it anymore, but I wanted to remember. I wanted to remember how close I came to losing my job and my home because one person decided to abuse a little bit of power. I wanted to remember that standing up worked, even when it felt impossible. One afternoon, I was installing a new camera system at a client site. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Linda. She said a reporter from a local news blog had reached out asking about HOA abuse cases. She said the board had agreed to share the story anonymously as a cautionary tale. She asked if I was okay with that. I said yes. I said if it helped one other person stand up to a corrupt board member, it was worth it. The article came out 2 weeks later. It did not name anyone, but it laid out the timeline. It described the fake deadlines, the vendor pressure, the portal manipulation, the stash in the closet. It described how residents fought back and won. The comments section exploded. Hundreds of people shared their own HOA horror stories. Some were worse than mine. Some were almost identical. I printed a copy of the article and put it in the binder. It felt like a closing chapter. I had gone from being accused of theft to helping expose a real thief. I had gone from being threatened with fines and towing to helping change the rules so it could not happen again. I had won, not because I got lucky, but because I gathered evidence and refused to back down. The neighborhood stayed quiet after that. No more surprise notices. No more intimidation. No more stolen packages. The new board handled complaints professionally. Enforcement was fair and transparent. People actually started attending meetings because they felt heard. I ran into Greg at the hardware store a year later. He said the board had just completed a full audit of HOA finances. He said they found some irregularities in the accounts from when Donna was in charge. He said it was not criminal, but it was sloppy and possibly self-serving. He said the board had hired an outside accountant to clean it up. He said it was just one more mess Donna had left behind. I asked how the neighborhood was doing. Greg said it was better than it had been in years. He said resident satisfaction was up, complaints were down, turnover was lower. He said getting rid of Donna had been the best thing the board ever did. He said he wished they had acted sooner. I told him I appreciated everything he did. He said I did the hard part. He said standing up and bringing evidence took courage. He said most people would have just paid the fine and moved on. He said I forced the board to act, and that changed everything. I left the hardware store feeling proud. Not smug, just proud. I had protected my home and my job. I had helped my neighbors. I had proven that one person with receipts and a little bit of stubbornness could beat a corrupt system. And I had learned something important. The rules only work if someone enforces them fairly. When they do not, you have to fight back, document everything, and refuse to be intimidated. Donna never came back to Maple Ridge. I heard she tried to join the board in her new neighborhood and got voted down. I heard she filed complaints there too, but the board ignored them. I heard she eventually gave up and just stayed quiet. I do not know if that is true, but I hope it is. I hope she learned that bullying people only works until someone stands up with proof. And I hope every HOA Karen out there knows that sooner or later, the receipts catch up. The binder still sits on my shelf. I look at it sometimes and remember the whole mess. I remember Donna standing in my driveway yelling. I remember the tow driver walking away. I remember the moment I turned the tablet screen around in that meeting room and watched her face go pale. I remember Linda calmly repeating policy while Donna melted down. I remember the security guard telling her to step back in front of everyone. And I remember walking out of that clubhouse knowing I had won. It was not luck. It was evidence. It was persistence. It was refusing to let someone rewrite the rules just because they had a clipboard and a bad attitude. And it worked. The HOA issued a policy clarification that blocks Karen's favorite tactic. Karen lost her committee role immediately. A portal export that shows the complaint forms were uploaded from one device ended her reign. And Donna insists on a deadline, and her own printed date contradicts her, so her credibility collapsed in front of the entire board. I hope you enjoyed this wild HOA mess.